Of Q Broadcast, it's taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q Broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want, including HBO, Cinemax, and Starz. And the best part, there are no contracts, no hidden fees, and you're free to cancel anytime. With Q Broadcast, you can enjoy streaming live TV, movies, and top series on up to 5 devices at once. Whether you're at home or on the go, Q Broadcast makes sure your entertainment is always at your fingertips. Imagine being able to watch all your favorite channels from anywhere, anytime, without any restrictions. We're talking about thousands of movies, hundreds of TV series, and a huge library of live channels, all in one place. And don't forget video on demand and pay-per-view events. Those are included at no extra cost, so you'll never miss a big event again. Now, take a second and think about your current cable bill. You're probably paying anywhere between $100 and $300 every month, locked into long-term contracts and hit with surprise rate increases. With Q Broadcast, that's a thing of the past. It's just $60 a month. No contracts, no extra fees, no hidden costs, and no price hikes. Why juggle multiple subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, and cable when Q Broadcast gives you everything you need in one convenient package? People everywhere are switching to Q Broadcast, saving money and getting more content than ever before. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description and sign up for Q Broadcast today. Just $60 a month, no contracts, no hidden fees. It's time to take control of your entertainment and start streaming smarter.
We live in a world where men are told it's harmless. It's just entertainment. But let's stop lying to ourselves. Pornography destroys. It weakens your spirit. It dulls your drive. And it robs you of what real intimacy is supposed to be. Every click is a step away from the man you're supposed to be. We can't call ourselves leaders if we are slaves to a screen.
As someone that is prior service, I know all about discipline. And discipline isn't out there, it's within your mind. Porn rewires your brain, weakens your will, wrecks all of your relationships. It doesn't just stay on a screen, it invades your marriage, your confidence, and your actual purpose. As men, if we don't learn to discipline ourselves, we'll be ruled by our impulses. Now, it is time to stand up and take control before this silent war takes more than you're willing to lose.
Real men don't hide in the shadows of shame. We step up and we protect what's ours. We fight for our wives and kids, our own hearts. Twitter isn't just an app, it's a weapon. It's a tool used to break free and start living like the man that you're meant to be. The battle's here and it starts with you. You can stop living in shame and you can break free today.
Of Q Broadcast, it's taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q Broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want, including...
Here at the Anomic Age, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the Anomic Age, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the John Age Project at anomicage.com.
Meet Anne Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, and
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle, she's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a lot of problems. I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
The rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars, you know. Why can't, you know, everybody just get along and just live their life?
Here at the Anomic Age, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the Anomic Age, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the John Age Project at anomicage.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, and
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrissey?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle, she's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a lot of problems. I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
the rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars. You know, why can't everybody just get along and just live their life?
Here at the Anomic Age, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the Anomic Age, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the John Age Project at anomicage.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response: shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, isn't that?
Well,
Yeah. How did she explain it to you?
Talon, Rio, and Chevy.
Propagating truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the John Age Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the Anomic Age, and I am your host, John Age. Happy to be back with you once again, taking you into the dark side of the AM, hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the Old North State. I'll be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet, a forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global satanic death cult of pedophiles. Check out anomicage.com. If you've not already done so, feel free to like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions, paypal.me/anomicage, patreon.com/anomicage as well. That's right, folks. That's the best way you can help me out. That's the best way you can help the show to grow. Please like all those likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions, 5-star reviews on all the app landing spots. Got the free iPhone app, free Android app, subscribe by email link, and so much more right there at anomicage.com. I had a great conversation with the forbidden archaeologist, Michael Cremo, earlier this week. So if you missed that, please make sure you check that out. Going to be adding to the dossier of upcoming guests pretty darn quickly. So check out the guests, folks. We got a lovely area right there under interviews. It'll take you to all the interviews I've ever done. I think, minus one. There was one interview that was not posted. That's it. That's because the guy was getting hassled by the feds and he didn't want blowback to come on me. So I said, thank you, sir. I will take that video down. And that's all I got to say about that. So anyway, we got up to, 212 lovely interviews with some great guests. And if you're into the solo variety, which is this You got information breakdown segments. I can't believe we're all the way up to 523. My gracious goodness sakes alive. 523. Woo! Can't believe we've done that many of those, but it's true. So 523 of the information breakdown variety. My goodness. 523. Hard to believe. Anyway, thank you so much, folks, for being with us today. Thank you so much for all the new listeners out there, all those cats in the Patriot Prayer Group. Thank you for hanging out there with me for several months now. And shout out to all those old school cats that are in there too. The Patreon people, the people that have donated over the years. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can't say that enough. Thanks for being with me, man. It's cool just doing what I do. I love the interviews, as I will always say, but I gotta say, there's a big part of me that just loves our, bi-weekly conversations where we just get on here and just yammer on about some of the comings and goings and the information and all that good stuff. It's a little bit freer to me, and I like it. So I'm happy to be back with you for episode 523. Goodness. Still hurts me to say it. 523. Title of tonight's episode is Perspective and Focus. Perspective and focus, folks. That's exactly what we're going to talk about this evening. Perspective and focus. Excuse me. So it's hard to kind of put things into perspective sometimes. It's even harder to stay focused because try as you might, the world around you wants you to focus on something else. They want you to focus on whatever the next weapon of mass distraction actually is. And I've learned these life lessons sort of along the way. Like I've always said on here, man, you are lucky if you get older and gain wisdom. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. But we live in such a complete mess hole, just a nightmarish hellscape, that a lot of people, I don't think, are gaining, gleaning, or otherwise collecting that wisdom that they might have once gotten many years or decades ago. So if you're into that category where you actually get older and gain wisdom, congratulations. You're a shining few. But, I think back often to some of the stuff I picked up along the way and things that have helped to shape things in my life. And I always come back to this one because it seems very simplistic, but at the time, only applicable to the micro, but you pull that lens out 10,000 feet, it's the macro too. So I'll never forget this. My daughter was real young and I don't know if she was like 2, 3, but she lost some toy in the den and I was in there trying to find it, trying to help her out. And I had this epiphany. It occurred to me, I'm up here at adult level, looking up, looking down, trying to find things that she's already lost on her little 2, 3-year-old level. So I had this epiphany. I was like, yeah, I need to get down on that level. I need to get into that perspective. And I did. And I immediately found what we were looking for. I was like, oh, it stuck with me because your perception of things is shaped by your perspective and your focus. So what you are focused on and what perspective you have on the situation. These are very integral things that seem very sophomoric and simplistic and just very shallow into the pool until you realize, like 9.5 out of 10 people can't grasp these very simplistic concepts, which is why they're getting led around by the nose 8 days a week and twice on Sunday by these communist scumbags, global satanic pedophiles, and a death cult. Because people can't seem to grasp these very simplistic concepts. I mean, we saw this on parade during the COVID hoax. You saw people immediately going into that reptilian brain, immediately going into that fear-based mindset. All that trauma-based mind control just clicked into place, and people were very easily led around by the nose. People were doing the flowers for Algernon, walking around in lines at the store. People were wearing the mask. People were shunning relatives, family members, and loved ones. People were doing all kinds of ghastly and blasphemous things that they would not have ordinarily done because they lost perspective or they had the wrong perspective and they had no focus. They completely lost it. They couldn't realize that this was a psyop. Their perspective was fear-based. Their perspective was, I've got to save myself. I'm saving grandma by letting her die in a home while I, sit outside covered in plastic and wearing some blipping sheet over my face. And they didn't have the focus to figure out, hey, this optic is used to focus my attention on this rather than this. The perspective and focus are always very key elements in this whole thing. And we see this all the time. We see this in the very goldfish mentality of the American people, where I've mentioned this, but the study from like 15 plus years ago, I believe now, saying that the average American didn't even have the attention span of a goldfish. And this was decades ago at this juncture. And that is very true and emblematic of the society we're in, because people cannot house two different conflicting thoughts at the same time. They can't say, we are not for Israel, we are not for Iran. They can't seem to grasp that because their little myopic brain will only let them focus on the two sides of the coin. You're either with us, you're with the terrorists. You're either with Israel or with Iran. They can't seem to figure out that by choosing this binomial nomenclature, by choosing this two sides of the coin, you're actually screwing yourself. They can't seem to have that perspective, and they lack that focus. So that is kind of a microcosm of what we're living in today, because, 2 months ago, everybody was clamoring over the Ukraine and all the money we've flushed away to the Ukraine. And if you go back even deeper, people were saying, oh, what about all the money laundering going on with Biden? What about Hunter Biden? What about this great money laundering scheme of the country of the Ukraine? Where'd all that go? Did it go away? No. None of those things went away. None of those problems were solved. None of those people went to jail. None of those people were punished. And the money didn't stop flowing. It's the same, folks. It's the same. But what the media has done is it's changed the channel. It's changed the channel for you. It's changed your perspective, whether or not you knew it or not. It changed your perspective. The same reason that the Epstein material was important for a time. That's what DJT ran on. Term 3, if you will. And that immediately was changed the channel. The perspective was changed. The focus of the American people was switched from the focus of the Ukraine to the focus of the Epstein pedophile garbage. And now the perspective has again been switched to Iran. So the switching of the perspective is done here in the Western society primarily by the mainstream media and the alternative media too. Hate to break it to you, but it's really the same bull job. Because people seem to have forgotten everything from the past. Again, the perspective has been cut off or switched. Because people figured out in the church committee hearings, a la 1973 or 4, I believe, that propaganda was alive and well in Estados Unidos. Propaganda was all the mainstream outlets basically had a CIA arm puppeteering the nightly news. And then you had Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Hussein Obama, signing into law once again at the stroke of a pen, the legitimization, normalization, and legalization of propaganda on the American people again before he got out of office in his last term. But people forgot all that. And people also seem to have a lack of perspective and focus because they think that it's only the mainstream media that can be bought and sold. It's only Peter Jennings and Tom Brokaw. It's only those big old talking heads from 50 years ago. Please don't be that stupid, folks. If you think it's easy to buy them off, imagine how easy it is to buy someone off who's doing a podcast in their own studio without the big budget, without the tens of producers, without the legal over their head, without the cameraman, without the production staff, without all this, folks. You think it's hard to buy them off? Come on. That's why you see these people like the Control Bunch that I talked about like last month, outlined just some of the top I believe, the 9 main controlled members of the alternative media, the alternative influencers. And people couldn't seem to grasp that one, folks, because you lack the perspective and you lack the focus. Your perspective is that mainstream media bad, alternative media good. Your focus is, I'm not going to listen to CNN and Fox News anymore. No. They're paid for shills, I tell you. I'm going to switch my focus to these other boobs. Because Officer Tatum would lie to me. I mean, for Pete's sake, he's Officer Tatum. Perspective and focus, folks. Perspective and focus. Let's change it up because I want to show you this image. Not my image. Actually, this is a better image. This one. This is the one, whenever I think of perspective and focus, and whenever I think of how the narrative is controlled and the perspective and focus of the general public's controlled, I think of this image right here. There's a few different versions of it. There's the color version. There's like a cartoonish black and white version, but this is the real meat and potatoes, the easiest way to show the general public how your perspective and focus changes everything. If you look at the image there on the left, the perspective is cropped tight. So immediately you see that perspective and your focus is, oh, the poor child. Oh my, the poor little boy. He's being crushed by the boot, you know. The old 1984, the future is a boot stomping on your face forever, paraphrase. And then you pan out a little bit and you get a different perspective. Then you glean a different focus. So the focus shifts as the perspective shifts. So you pan out and you see, well, it's the little boy. He's just got a silly, like a galoshes boot. And he's got it in his own hand and he's fooling around. He's just playing, having a good time. He's putting the boot on his own head. So from that perspective, you see it's just a kid having a good time. It's just a kid playing, having normal fun. But that perspective changes your focus. Now you see it not as some sort of tyrannical, oh my, the Trump regime, or fill in the blank, because it's all the same, folks. Your perspective shifts, your focus shifts. Now you see your focus has shifted to, oh boy, it's just a kid having a good time. Look at him. He's over there playing. He's got the boot in his hand. It's just goofing around. That's how easy it can be changed, folks. Easy to do. People just don't really understand these things. I'll throw this one on the screen because this one's kind of importante también. Oracle. This is April 2nd, just after April Fool's Day. Oracle fired up to 30,000 workers via email after a 95% profit surge. Tech companies are cutting almost 1,000 jobs per day. Yeah, this is from finance.yahoo.com. So, of course, folks, of course, it's a change of perspective and a change of focus. So the deal is they have sold you a bill of goods predicated on one thing, and then once they change that perspective, your focus changes. Just like the COVID scam. Just like DJT telling everybody, hey, I'm going after the illegals. Everybody's focus was, as it should have been, great, let's get these illegal immigrants out of this country. Then he changes his perspective. Now the perspective is, we're just going to go after the illegals that are felons, that are murderers and rapists. The rest of them, we need them. We need them in these slave positions. We need the H-1B visas because Americans are too stupid to do this. And after all, they don't want to do this. So by that change of perspective, it should change the focus of the American people. It should change their focus to say, hey, what about getting rid of all these illegals? Now we're the ones getting railroaded and screwed. Make sense yet, folks? That's how easy it can be done. So in this instance with Oracle, it's basically the same thing. They sold the American people on this bill of goods like AI is going to be these benevolent, loving little androids that are going to help you. The AI, remember old Muskie Musk selling AI? We're going to help the blind people to see. We're going to put robot eyes, like that old Judas Priest song, Electric Eye. We're going to put robot eyes in the blind. They're going to see. Hallelujah. We're going to extend your lifespan with AI. We're going to give you all kinds of microchipped brain scanning tech and everything else. You're going to be an android, but you'll live longer. It'll be great. Remember that? Oh, for all you weirdos out there, we're going to have robot whores for you to copulate with, because who wants to mess around with people when you can have a robot whoredom copulation? I'm trying to keep this clean. It's hard, folks. So they sold you on that bill of goods. That was a perspective. That was the focus. The focus was, oh, goody, everybody's going to be happy. Perspective changes when people figure out, hey, you're not going to have any jobs. There's going to be no jobs for you to do. You'll be stuck under the guaranteed living wage scenario. And if you step out of pocket, if you're hoeing out of pocket, then the pimp hand is going to come down swiftly upon you and take you out. If you don't eat your government dole food that's GMO and ridden with carcinogenics, you're going to be cut off. If you don't take all your vaccines, then you're going to be put out to pasture. And when they say you need to die, you better get in your death pod quick with the swiftness. Change of perspective, change of focus. But sadly, we're still seeing people focused on, oh boy, we're getting goodies out of this situation. We're going to get all this freebie stuff. We're not going to have to work anymore. We're just going to sit around, max and relax, chill out with some Netflix and copulate with robots. Man, what a sick and twisted world we are in, folks. That's really what's up. Really is a sick and twisted place. But wait, as usual, there's more. I couldn't help but talk about this one, folks. The perspective and focus. Because it was not lost to me, as I'm sure it wasn't to you, that they threw up this Artemis 2 on April Fool's Day. I haven't really come down or out on any sort of hard stance on this whole space thing. You know, there's a lot of third rails that I just haven't touched, and I'm not really touching it for reasons because I just don't give a flip. But you know, there's the flat earth versus round. There's the space, the moon landings. I mean, some of this stuff is just so retarded. I feel like I don't want it on me. You know, there's no way to pick up a turd by it cleaned in. There's no way to jump into some of these cesspools without getting some of the brown stuff splashing up on you. So I don't want any of it, really. In many regards, I'm just like, man, there's enough to cover. But this one seems kind of silly. So the Artemis 2 is over there around the moon on April Fool's Day. Already covered the, you know, McDonald's commercial, DEI people we got on the Artemis mission. Let me see. I'm going to forget some of these clowns. Christina Koch. We got to talk about her, man. People have already discussed the hilarity of these different names and how this is a humiliation ritual. So I'm not even going to get into the Glover and Koch. I'm not going there. You can look at this for yourself and you can figure out how this is just humiliation ritual par excellence here. I mean, you got Reed Weissman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen. Hansen, Glover, and Koch. I mean, just come on. I'm gonna keep it at an adult level, but at some level, it's just downright silly, isn't it? And I haven't pulled these images up because, you know, you can see these images for yourself. You've seen the images already of, you know, the clearly CGI from this Artemis 2, where the guy's holding something and half of it disappears in his hand. It's a green screen 8 days a week and twice on Sunday. Look, I'm not some sort of studio production expert here, but I know enough to figure out, you know, a ball from a strike. And this is clearly ridiculous. Clearly, we've got CGI with the stuff they're holding. There's another one where the guy's holding a piece of paper and the end of it disappears in his face. And they're still expecting the American public to buy this bull jive. We've already covered the names. I'm going to keep it PG-13 and not go into it any further. It's obvious. It's just hilarious. Okay. People have looked into the Artemis. Oh, it means the hunter. And there's other, you know, connections into the silly nature of the names. April Fool's Day. There should be some pretty clear discrepancy where no one is actually showing you any sort of live footage of, here we are in the capsule. Here's the Earth. Here, you know, here's space. Here's stars. Here's all the bull jive that we've been told that space is. They're leaving out the obvious stuff. They're just showing you the most mundane bull butter imaginable inside the capsule. And, oh, look, here's floating hair. And I'm sure you've seen the same bull butter with the floating hair, which is clearly hairspray. You know, I mean, they've had people go up at high altitudes in some of these large planes that can get up at these high altitudes where there's less gravity. And that clearly shows you what hair looks like as it is floating in free fall. And then you see the images of these morons with clearly, you know, Aquanet and Dep 8 kind of hair products, and they're just keeping their hair up like Liberty spikes. There's no float, there's no movement or flow. It's just like, here's me with kid and play hair. Oh, look, I'm in space. I mean, a clear humiliation ritual on the 10th degree here. Just ridiculous. So we've got the hilarity with the humiliation rituals of the names. We've got the obvious CGI, you know, props in space. We've got the hairsprayed up hair. It's just over and over again. We've got the inability to actually show people the shot that everyone wants to see. Here's the capsule. Here's me floating. Here's the Earth. Here's stars. Here's satellites, or whatever the flip else you would expect to see from that altitude above the Earth. Or that's not even correct, because altitude will be in the Earth's distance from the Earth. Better wordage, John. Bottom line, you ain't seeing any of that, folks. None of it. Nothing. I mean, that would be like you're going to the Super Bowl. For people that are into that stupid football crap, you're going to the Super Bowl, you're right there at the 50-yard line, and everybody wants to see the live action of the game from that perspective. They want to see, like, here's the live oh, somebody got tackled, almost got hit by a football flying by my head. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you want to see from that perspective. Meanwhile, it would be like you had the 50-yard line Super Bowl tickets. This is the shot everybody's waiting for. And instead, you're doing selfies of like, here's me and my date. Here's me with the girl, you know, whatever. And you're not showing what clearly would be evidence of you being at the flipping football game. I mean, you could do the selfie, here's me at a football game, at any high school game in the United States right now. And everybody, okay, I guess she's at the 50-yard line. But clearly, there's no evidence that you're at the 50-yard line of the flipping Super Bowl unless you're showing the perspective of the actual flipping game. You know what I mean? So that's where we are with all this space crud, which leads me to think it might just all be a bunch of hooey. And here's another one. I got to put this on the screen because it's just so dumb. This is the sort of nonsense that the humiliation ritual seems kind of self-evident. So instead of actually showing people what they really want to see, they're doing this really dumb mess like they always do whenever we're quote unquote in space, where they have the most infantile, juvenile, like below sophomoric, you're in the LD class BS. And this is what they're handing the American public as, here's us in space. I mean, you might expect this if you're talking to like a second grade class. You have some boob in space and he's like manipulating a prop and okay, he's floating around. Look, he's got toothpaste or whatever the stupid garbage is. Oh, look at her hair floating. I mean, this is the most sophomoric, imbecilic, retarded garbage. And this is what they are presenting the American public with. Basically, parlor tricks. Just bottom rung, like the worst show in Vegas kind of parlor trick. And this is being passed off to the American public and the global citizenry at large as this is America in space. And this, it just happened to be the most asinine article that I could find. I probably could have done some better and found even more stupid. More than halfway to the moon, the Artemis II astronauts grapple with a toilet problem. A toilet problem, folks. This is the big news. Like, this is what is being passed to the American people. This is like fart jokes and poo-poo humor. This is, if you were going to see a comedy show, this would be like, you go to see whatever your big comedian is, and they pull out like a bathroom joke book from 1985 and start just reading it to you. That would be on par with what the flip we're seeing here. You go pay all this big money, you go to see Dave Chappelle, and instead of his good comedy, his act, he's pulling out, in 1985 toilet humor book. I pulled her finger. Like, what the? This is the kind of bull jive that they want you to buy into. This is it, folks. This is it. This is another one. I had to put this one up there. This is from yahoo.com. Artemis II broadcast error. It's always an error, isn't it? Used to stoke false claims mission was staged. They're always false claims. I mean, again, this is not reporting. Reporting would be, this is the information gleaned. This is the data that we've gathered. Draw your own conclusions. No, it's false claims. How is it false claims exactly? Keep in mind, was it like 6-8 months ago? We had Katy Perry and her feminazi band of boobs supposedly in like space orbit or whatever the flip that was. The whole thing looked about as bottom rung, just complete idiocy. I mean, not even like art school level quality. But this was passed off as like, look, these chicks went into space. Oh boy, look, Katy Perry went into space. This is the level that they want you to believe, okay? This is the perspective that they are delivering. And somehow, there's still people that are focused on this as being legitimate, which is the comedy of all comedies. I mean, the comedy of all comedies. It'd be like if I put on stilts and some tall pants, some long length in the pants, and I went outside and like, look, I'm 9 feet tall. I put on these sheetrock stilts and these long pants. And anybody with a brain can see that that's bull. Anybody with a brain can, oh, look, he's got metal legs that are just kind of stuffed into these shoes. Like, that doesn't look right. So from that clear perspective, you can see that's a lie. And your focus is, oh boy, okay, John's doing some sort of comedy skit. He's out here with sheetrock, extensions on and some tall pants. Clearly, this is hilarious. So your perspective shifts and your focus should shift as like this is a comedy versus this is reality. But this is what we're being delivered. And this is still like there's still people buying the bull job, which is funny. But don't worry, Yahoo's up here saying false claims that the mission was staged. Oh, it's false claims, right? I mean, somehow we are supposedly, wink, wink, the apex of technological prowess right now. We've got great technology. I mean, just like 10G or whatever the flip it is now, ridiculous quality cell phones, ridiculous quality ability to speak to other people across the continent, across the globe in live streaming color, right? We've just figured this out, wink, wink. But somehow we lack the technology to sit there and say, oh, here we are in the capsule. Here's things legitimately floating. Here's the Earth. Here's the outer capsule. Here's stars. Here's satellites. Here's moon. No, we can't do that. Really? We can't do that. Oh, don't worry. We did it, in the 70s, in the early 70s, late 60s. We were doing the same sort of thing, but we lost the technology. Don't remember. Do you remember this big hilarity? They were calling somehow from space on a landline in the White House. That was legit, folks. Did you not see that was legitimate? That was a real thing that happened. Oh, don't worry. We didn't do it for over 40 years because we didn't want to go back out there. Like, forget about it. We got billions of dollars to spend on other things like going to Iran and Iraq and blowing them up and helping Israel. We got all these other things, but no, we're not going to space. It's just crazy. Should all watch the movie Capricorn 1 if you haven't already seen that. It should be in your collection, but it's pretty much tells you everything you need to know. It's more of that predictive programming hidden in plain sight. It's way before the Truman Show, way before all this, 90s hip, cool. Oh, it's retro and nice. Look at the Truman Show. Oh, boy, it's Jim Carrey. He's such a funny guy. He plays the same role in every single thing he's ever been in, but he's such a funny guy. It's insane. But, yeah, don't worry. It's false claims that this was all staged. Katy Perry went there 6-8 months ago with these chicks. It was fine. Now we're going one step beyond, and we're actually orbiting the moon with this DEI hilarious group of what are these boobs names? Let's see if we can find these guys one more time. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. Don't worry, it's all real. Like the floating hair's real. The hilarious like crystal clear image of the Earth from the capsule is real. There's no chemtrails on any picture of it. There's no satellites obscuring even the slightest view at all. It's all flipping real, folks. Did you not realize it's all real? And the perspective is always going to be geared towards a specific group always. If they can cover all groups, they'll cover all groups. Of course, except for the white male heterosexual Christian perspective, because they will just get denigrated and defecated upon at any and all costs. My goodness. This chick, this is hilarious. I don't believe this for a flipping second. This is Christina Koch. This is her. This is her big quote. The last time we went to the moon, women could not open a credit card on their own. Now they're flying to the moon and leading the Mission Control Center. And Christina's got, some alleged view of all these chicks in mission control because DEI will lead the way. Diversity is your strength. Don't worry, because we've got like 12, 13 chicks there just I think, look at this. Check this. There's dudes in the back. Holy shnipe. Why did they not Photoshop these ugly satanic heretics out? Look, this dude in the blue is a dude, I bet a nickel. And this thing right here next to her, that's a dude. And then we got glasses back here, dude. Glasses back here, dude. Some cat with a headset on, dude. I can't tell about this weirdo with the flipping face mask. That could be a lesbian, could be a dude. We ain't sure. So we got like 4 dudes minimum in this picture. Clearly, there's some sexism, racism, and some maybe some anti-Semitism and xenophobia on the side. I don't know. Because they should have whitewashed this daggone picture. They should have lesbian washed this picture to get those dudes out of there. There is no males allowed in mission control at NASA. I mean, Christina Koch already told you. She couldn't even get a credit card when into the moon last time. I ain't believing that bull jive for a minute either. I ain't believing it, lady. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. Ain't buying it, Christina. You couldn't get a credit card when they went to the moon last time. Let me get the full correct direct on this, because I ain't believing that for a minute, folks. Apollo 11 moon landing 1969 on July 20th, 1969. So July 20th, 1969, they're trying to say females could not get a credit card without what? Some dude? Get out of here, man. This is the same bull jive of the just perpetual victimization. The victim Olympics, you know. Ooh, we was in slavery all the way up in 1995. What? No, you weren't. I mean, like, this is the insanity that we live in, folks. This is the police are chasing down black people. It's like Birth of a Nation in 2025. I mean, that's not happening. Actually, that's not true. But the problem is people won't call out these morons that are in the victim Olympics because they don't want to get ostracized or canceled or given the finger to or whatever else, man. Some of these narratives are just bullshit. So anyway, Christina Koch has got to go out on a limb here and say, I couldn't even do this. And I'm in mission control and whatever the flipping case may be. Whatever the case may be. The bottom line is, Christina, it's all a bunch of bull job. It's smoke and mirrors at best. I'm just telling you how I see it, my perspective. My perspective is that it's another humiliation ritual. And the focus should be highlighting how hilarious the whole thing is. It's retarded. Good grief. I can't believe Christina's like, women couldn't even vote. Women were stuck in the kitchen behind the stove in 1969. They weren't going anywhere. Get the flip out of here. Get the flip out of here, folks. We were already down the rabbit hole of second wave feminism and all this other bull jive. Get out of here. Nobody's trying to hear that bull jive, man. It's just tired nonsense. Really what it is. But when you look at our society, it's easy to see this, man, because it's all fake. It's all fake and gay at this point. It really is. Overused, perhaps, but in my opinion, probably underused. It's all fake and gay. Sorry, but it is. All the sports are rigged and fake and bull. The legal system, all 3 branches of government are stolen. If you think that you're getting a fair shake in any kind of trial, please allow me to demystify you. Perspective and focus. Some people still have that perspective and that same BS focus. Hopefully, most people realize that the legal system is a joke. It is rigged. And you're never going to get anything but most likely the shaft out of that whole thing. What else we got to talk about? We got to talk about how this perspective and focus really plays into the big picture. Because this, we've talked about this as it operates on several different examples, but you should also look at that in the greater example of just America in general, perspective and focus. Because for most of our lives, at least my generation, Gen X, has been told the same bull jive by those boomers The same bull job. Okay, yeah. You worked at this bleep hole job for 30 years. You get a retirement, you get the gold watch, you get the insurance, and then you retire, you get the Social Security too. It'll be great, right? Just like the boomers. We should know that that's a lie. That perspective is an illusion. Complete bull. So your focus should also change. Once you realize it's all a lie, and I mean all of it, folks, that's the thing that is so hard for everybody to comprehend. That's the thing that really vexes the general public, I think. Because you start looking into these different things, for bleep's sake, look at Challenger. If you believe that Challenger, scam, false flag, op, hate to say it, but you got to look into it. Your perspective was probably the same as mine. You saw this thing blow up, watching it live at your school or at your whatever house. Everybody went into fear, panic mode, switched from the neocortex to the reptilian side of the brain. Everything was trauma-based mind control after that, folks. Just like the 9/11 bull job, just like the Oklahoma City bull job, just like the Ruby Ridge bull job, just like the Waco bull. It's all the same trauma-based mind control. Let's flip the script from neocortex to reptilian, just like that. We'll get everybody hyped up, and they'll believe anything. Weapons of mass destruction, freedom fries. Oh, the baby on the incubator, on the floor. All this horse shit. That's what it is, folks. It's perspective and focus. So we have all had that limited perspective at some point in our lives. And I'm not talking down to anyone. Anyone who still believes this stuff, I'm not belittling you or talking down to you. I'm saying at some point, we all had that perspective, okay? Some point in the game, everybody thought things were the way that we were told that they were. The good news is, hopefully you get older, you get wiser. You start putting some of those experiential things into perspective. You start putting some of that new information into perspective. And you're able to change your focus. You're able to figure out, hey, this whole being a wage slave for 30 years under the guise that I'm going to get a gold watch, retirement, Social Security, and all that bull is just that bull. Then you can change your perspective and change your focus. When you come to grips with the fact that every conflict we've ever been in has been predicated on a false flag, you can change your perspective and change your focus. Then you will stop saying, hey there, Johnny, go join up so you can get sacrificed to the global death cult blood machine. Two, stop it. I mean, I've talked to people in the military that have come to grips with these same things, that they went to these unjust wars for reasons that were illegitimate. Anybody really come to the reckoning as to why we have such a high suicide rate with the military? Anybody figure this out yet? It's because now more than ever, people have access to knowledge that they no longer can ignore. That changes their perspective and changes their focus. They realize it was all a lie. Like Lou from the great band Sick of It All would sing, it's all just lies. I can't think of a flipping thing that's not a lie at this point in the game. The food pyramid, lie. Things they told you were healthy, lie. Things they told you were bad for you, lie. We're doing this for your own good, lie. We're doing this for the children, lies. We're doing this for your protection, lies. 9/11, Patriot Act, lies, folks, lies. And it's a hard pill to swallow. I feel you, man. It's difficult to come to grips with some of this stuff. And it's especially difficult because so many people have built their lives, have put these anchor points, have put these cornerstones even in their lives that have just been based on complete lies. Just lies, folks. That's why I did this album art for this show, folks, because it's giving you three different perspectives, three different things to focus on. You look at it on the far left, you're like, oh, goody, we're taking off. And look, there's another plane outside the window. You'd think you're in a jet. You think you're just flying over to see grandma. The one on the far right, you're perhaps looking outside of who knows what, but you're definitely on the terrestrial plane looking at what appears to be a flower. And the one in the center, in el centro clase, you're in space. And you're looking outside of your little capsule. This is ground control to Major John. And you're looking outside of your capsule, floating in your tin can. And you're seeing another spaceman. And you're seeing the arc of the round earth and the stars. So what we got there is 3 different perspectives and 3 different things to focus on. So depending on which one you are in, it will change your perspective and your focus. Are you in a plane? Are you in a spaceship? Or are you on the earth? It's funny how the only thing in those pictures that has changed is the imagery. That's it. Same thing. So the mainstream and the alternative news in all forms, factions, and otherwise, all the movies, all the television shows, all the streaming now, it can all change your perspective and your focus. They can have you clamoring over trannies and Caitlyn Jenner. They can have you clamoring over the Ukraine. They can have you clamoring over pedophiles and Epstein. Or they can have you clamoring over Trump. And it can be for the yin or the yang. It can be, this is divisive on all levels. So people are thinking, oh, it's just pertained to the right. No, idiots. They can have you worshiping Trump or vilifying Trump. They can have you saying, what about them files? Or maybe we shouldn't look into these files. They can have you saying, we love Ukraine. Or why are we wasting money on the Ukraine? It's all perspective and focus. And it's all being targeted now vis-a-vis different algorithmic mechanisms and machinations. It's all controlled by those lovelies and the AI and the Palantir, the Peter Thiel and the rest of the gay core Jewish mafias. It's all being controlled, folks. And your perspective and focus is being changed, just like you changed the channel. So I guess the real thing I'm trying to say here is that we have to take some ownership of this. We have to take some onus of this. We've got to get a handle on it. To get all Communist Manifesto, we've got to take agency, bro. We've got to stop letting the bourgeoisie control our proletariats, man. We've got to have agency and skin in the game, bro. Insert your stupid weed gargling sound and your drunken idiocy. But it's pretty legit. You do have to take agency over all this. You've got to take control over what you're viewing and not viewing. You got to look at all sides equally and figure out just how much you're getting screwed. Because at the end of the day, that's really what's up. You got to figure out what the truth is. It's hard to say. It's hard to tell. It's hard to even quantify and qualify just exactly what the flipping truth is. Because for every action, there's a reaction. For every contra, there's another. There's the flat earthers, there's the rounders. There's the we've been in space for years versus we ain't ever been off this globe or flat plane. There's the Trump's doing great or Trump's a terrorist, he's going to kill us. And yeah, it's all in there, folks. It's all in there. That's why I laugh anytime I see somebody, and I won't name who it usually is. Everyone saying, breaking news, breaking news. It's all breaking news. No, it's not. Most of the breaking news has been news for like 20 to 30 years. People just haven't caught up to it yet. There's all this mess being released in these blipping files. Now it's like Project Artichoke. And like, good grief, man. People have known about Project Artichoke for like 20 plus years. People are just now figuring it out. I mean, what the? Same thing with the client list and the Epstein files. Am I the only person that's seen these flipping names for like 10 years now? Can't just be me, right? Nothing new under the sun. The problem is that there's no repercussions. There's no negative or positive consequences. It's just like, move along. We've changed your perspective. We've changed your focus. Nobody cares about Ukraine anymore. Piss on them. We've moved on to Iran. And flip flakes, nobody cares about the Epstein files anymore. Bleep on them. After all, we've changed Pam Bondi. She's gone now. Okay, flip cares. Put Bill Barr in there, for God's sakes. Who cares? Nothing matters because nothing changes. The perspective changes, but in the real world where the rubber meets the road, nothing changes. Nothing. They want you to believe things have changed. It's kind of like the tranny thing. It's kind of like, hey, this guy's cut off his wee-wee. Okay. He's still got the same chromosomes. I don't care how much hormones he takes. His chromosomal makeup's the same. Nothing changes. Hey, this moron cut off bits of her forearm to create this necrotic phallus that'll never function. Okay. Guess what? He is still a flipping she. Chromosomal makeup ain't changed. Nothing's changed, folks. It's kind of comical that the right gets their panties in a knot about, trannies, rightfully so. But then they can't also realize that, hey, nothing changes in the Trump cult either. It's just more bold mess. Nothing's changed, folks. Have we stopped funding the Ukraine? No. Have we stopped funding Israel? No. Have we done anything with the infrastructure of the America that we love and know and would like to enjoy? No. We seemingly have a huge invasion now, but allegedly it's all legal, so it's okay. What? All over the news, there's like Muslim and Indian outcrops all over Texas, all over North Carolina, all over New York, and everything in between. And everybody's like, all right, cool, I guess. But we've shut the border down, so I guess it's all okay now, huh? It's sad, folks. It's muy triste. Muy triste. All right. Hopefully, if you've gleaned nothing else from tonight's episode, you've gained a little bit better understanding of your perspective, how it changes your focus, and how all that can and is and I guess will always be manipulated by the powers that be. We don't know who those powers are. We're not going to say. You might know them, but I won't dare say it. By the powers that be. That would be the usual suspect, media moguls and monopolies. Mm-hmm. Anyway, folks, you can't do everything, but you can do something. Try to get out there, do something, make a difference, and get a better handle on your perspective and focus. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the Anomic Age. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to The Anomic Age, a John Age project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to anomicage.com. That's ANOMICAGE.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to The Anomic Age.